Breaking news, folks. The Dow is on the verge of another all-time record. Look at the S&P just scaling slightly above the flat line. And we're watching it all with Mark Spellman of the Alpine Funds. He and his firm have about $4 billion in assets under management. Mark, your first thought on these markets once again?
Yeah, we forgot about Brexit, that's for sure. And I think the obsession and search for yield is going to continue. And that's kind of what we're trying to look for in our Alpine Rising Dividend Fund. Stocks that continue to offer good value but will raise the dividend consistently. I think that's what differentiates it from just looking at big chunky yields like utilities that are overvalued in our mind to a certain extent, and those dividend growth rates are probably not going to be 20+%. We're finding a lot of opportunities where there are 20% growth opportunities.
Mark, we've got an election. I know that's a news flash for nobody out there,
right.
But the nation's crumbling infrastructure is no doubt going to be at the forefront from the economic side of whoever gets into the White House. And you've got an infrastructure fund, and interestingly enough, it's actually doing really well. The Alpine Global Infrastructure Fund up about 11% year to date. You're beating the S&P. What's in it, and why do you think this is working so well in advance of who we know or don't know might be the president?
Yeah, I think either, whatever your politics are, both candidates have talked about increasing infrastructure spending next year as a big part of the stimulus package. What's great about the Alpine Global Infrastructure Fund is you have that yield. The trailing 12-month yield there is 4.3%. But we think you're at a crossroads from a secular standpoint in infrastructure spending. Central banks throughout the world, including the U.S., they've kind of exhausted the monetary elements here, and it has to switch to fiscal. And the big part of that is going to be infrastructure spending. No matter what your plan on a fiscal standpoint is, a lot of that's going to be on the infrastructure play.
Yeah, except this time it's got to be an infrastructure spending plan that actually goes to bridges, tunnels, and all of the big public works that actually works. Your two names that you like that are related to that, AT&T, and then a Spanish infrastructure play called Ferrovial, which is down about 13% year over year. As we bump up against what looks to be a record right now for the Dow, up 24 points, where do you think this market goes over the summer?
Well, and I would look for spots, and I think income is going to be probably 50% of the total return you make from here on out. So income concerns is a big part of it. And a company like Ferrovial, you have the benefit, so to speak, of or opportunistic benefit that Brexit did damage that stock price because they do operate airports in London. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, guess what, Mark? We're cueing the fireworks because we have
another record.
Another record, and Mark Spellman gets to look at it. Thanks so much for joining us from the Alpine Funds.